Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm going to show you how to make these. Look what I've been making. Now this pattern, the graph for this pattern is available on Pinterest, but I'm going to show you this. This is the book that I found it in. I found it in this book by Jan Eaton. This was done in 2006. So any of the ones that are on Pinterest, that if somebody's going, I got this in the second-hand shop, this book. This was printed in 2006. So I'm going to show you that there. So it was first printed in 2006. And then it tells you it was reprinted 2007, 2008, 2009, twice, 2010, 2011, twice, all the times that this has been reprinted. And this is where I got the pattern from. Now I had to work out how to do it in a half. Now this pattern is available elsewhere. I'm going to show you how to do it. Now these, I'm going to block my hexagons. I want this to be nice and lacy. Now to see other versions of this, I put into Google 6-leaf crochet diagram and it took me to Pinterest. There's quite a lot of different people have got this on Pinterest. There's no sort of one person. But before I did that, I did mine in the book. And then I worked out how to do a half a one. When you join them together, I'm going to join them in a line, but I want mine where you can see this lace. So I'm going to block my hexagons. I'm going to block them. Now this one will go in there. Once we join them, I'll show you how to make them. I'll show you how to join them, because this lace pattern makes a really nice pattern here and it makes it all join together. And I worked out how to do a half a one as well, and that fits in and makes your top straight. I'll show you this picture. So that's the picture I had with all mine on the floor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make the whole one, how to make the half one. And once I've blocked all mine, I'll do another video on how to join them all together. I've done 19. I'm going to show you how to do one more. That'll be 20. I'm going to have 20 by the time I've finished. And I have got 4 halves. 4 halves. I've got one more half to make. So that'll be 5 halves for this. So I'm going to pop that aside. Now for all of those, I've used 1 full ball of lilac and I'm on my second ball. And I've used this James C. Barrett double knitting baby yarn. For my white, this is a double knitting, that's a weight 3 if you're in the USA. For my white, I didn't use the same brand of yarn. I've used this New Fashion double knitting white by Woolcraft. This is a weight 3 as well. This is my second ball of that. So if you want to make this and you want to do it in the colours like I've done, or even if you're using your own colours, you need 2 balls of the one for the centre hexagon and 2 balls for your outside. You can make it all one colour if you want. So 2 balls, 1 of the middle, 2 of your lilac, 2 of your white. If you want to make it all one colour, I would get 5 balls of yarn. 5 100-gram balls will be enough. More than enough, because I've still got all of this left of this ball. So I've still got all of this left, and that'll make a nice big throw or blanket. Now I've only done 20, and I'll show you at the end of it the size that it's going to make. So I'm going to show you how to do this piece, and then I'll show you how to do this piece. I'm going to block all my hexagons, and then in another video I'll show you how to join them together. If you can't wait until that, I can't do join as you go, especially with this one, because this last round when I was doing my join as you go, when I was making one on the last round, that's when you can pull in one that you've already made. But I felt as if this one had one round less because I was using it to connect these. But I'm going to crochet them together, and I'm going to go from this corner point to that corner point across. Then I'll do the next one across, and once I've got it to the length I want, I'm going to join them in lines. I'll show you that in another video. So we'll get on, and I'm going to show you how to make a full hexagon and then a half hexagon. Now the half hexagon's not perfect. I worked this out myself. What I did with mine to work it out how to do a half, I folded it in half like this. Basically, I just folded it in half. So I thought if a whole one is 12, I did a half a one with 6. And then I worked out with that sitting in half. My next round was 4, so I made that one 2. The next round here is 6, so I made sure that one was 3. Then that's 8, so I made sure that had 4, and then that had 4, and then I worked out the little bit of the pattern. But you won't have to, because I'm going to do it in the video. You can keep going back to the video to refer to this. Once you've done 1 or 2 of them, it's really easy to remember how to do the rest of it, and you don't need the book or the pattern or the graph. So I'm going to do a magic ring. If you can't do a magic ring, then chain 5 and join it, slip stitch into a little ring. Now a magic ring, you just put the end of your yarn on the front of your hand and wrap it around, cross it over like this. So you've got the front here, your tail here, just cross it over, put your hook under and pull through like this, and then you can tighten in your ring a little bit. Bring your working yarn up around the back and pull it through, and there you've got a little lasso. It's called a magic ring. You can pull it in a little bit. So the hook I'm using a USA 6. That is a 3.5mm UK hook. A little bit smaller than stated for this double knitting. This is a weight 3 yarn. So we've got our first loop on the hook, and I'm going to chain 4. The stitch I'm using is a UK. The stitch I'm using is a UK treble crochet. That's a double crochet if you're in the USA. I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. That counts as 1 stitch and a chain. Now we need 12 altogether into this ring, or into your little chain that you've made into a ring. So that's number 1 there. Count that as number 1. So yarn over and into the loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and chain 1. So that's our second one done. So that counts as the first one, and that's the second one. And we need 12. And in between you'll do a chain 1. So yarn over, do your next one, and chain 1. So now we've got 3, chain 1, remember the chain 1, so we've got 4. So we need to do that until we've got 12. So count them to make sure you have 12. Remember and do your chain 1. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and that chain of 4 is my 12. I'm going to pull the tail pull that in. I'm going to cut my yarn. And then I can just put that yellow aside. So I've cut my yarn and I need to slip stitch. I'm going to count 1, 2 and 3 stitches up that chain of 4. And we're going to join these together. Then put your yarn through and pull it through. I've got myself a darning needle and I'm going to stitch my ends in. If you do this every time you make one, you can make a whole load of these, and then you can do the next stage, stitch it all in, and then you can do all the white, or you can just make it all one piece after the other. Now in through the back, I'm just going to hide my yarn, come back a few stitches here, hide it in through there, just stitch it in, go back a little bit and around. Cut that piece off and then do this one. Now like I said, you can do this all together. You can do it all one colour if you want, and you won't have to do this. Now I'm going to turn it around. That's the front. I'll turn it around to the back and stitch this tail end in. Stitch it in through some of the yarn at the back. And then hide the end in, just like we did already. A few stitches around. And cut that off. So what we're going to do is, in to the spokes of this wheel, into the top of these pieces here. This is what we're going to be using. So put your hook through. Give yourself enough of a tail to sew in. Wrap your tail around. And we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now into the top of each of these stitches, not the chain space, into the top of the stitches, the first 2 we're going to put 2 stitches and then 2 stitches. And this is a UK treble crochet or a USA double crochet, whatever country you're in. So that counts as my first one. And this is my second one. The next stitch, skip the chain space, and we're going to put 2 into the top of this stitch. 1 and 2. Now we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. Skip the chain stitch in the middle. So into the next stitch we're going to put 2 and go over to the next one and put 2. So 2 into the top of the stitch. 1 and 2. 2 into the top of the next stitch. Into this stitch, not the chain stitch. 1 and 2. So we're making little sections, and each section's got 4 stitches. Chain 2, 1, 2. Skip the little chain stitch in the middle. Now in the top of this stitch here, you're going to put 2, 1 and 2. You're going to put 2 into the top of the next tall stitch. 1, and 2. Chain 2 and move to the next stitch. 1, 2. So we're not doing the chain stitches in between, we're going into the top of this. So we've done our chain 2, 2 into this one, to make our next section of 4 stitches, and 2 into the top of the next one. And we should have 6 sections of 4, just like this. So chain 2, 1, 2, move to the next stitch, and we're going to put 2 into the top of that one, 1 and 2, move to the next stitch, there it's there, so into the top of this one, 1 and 2. We're going to chain 2, 1, 2, then in, we've got 2 stitches left, this stitch and this stitch. So into the top of that one, put 2, 1 and 2. Remember your chain 2 in between your sections of 4. So your chain 2 only goes in between the section of 4. So into the top of this next stitch here, put 2, 1 and 2. We're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and into the top of that chain of 3, we're going to slip stitch to close the round. And this is what we have: 6 sections of 4 stitches. So we're going to, we've got 4 stitches, now we're going to increase it to 6 in between. So we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Now into that same stitch, put 1 more stitch, 1 more in there. We've got 3 left, we're going to put 1 in here, 1 in here, and 2 into the end stitch. So we're going to work in little sections. So 1 into that one, if you're working along, 1 into the next one. That's a USA double crochet, and that's a treble crochet if you're in the UK. Now into this last stitch of this section, put 2, and that's has increased this section to 6. So now we have 6 in this section. Chain 2, 1, 2, and we'll do the same to each section of 4. Put 2 into the first stitch, then 1, 1, and then 2 into that one there to make 6 stitches. So we've done a chain of 2. So into the first one we're going to put 2 stitches, then 1 into the top of the next one, 1 into the top of the next one, and then 2. And you do that all the way around. I'm going to chain 2 and do the same to the next section. So I've done my last section, and I've done my chain 2, and I'm going to slip stitch into here. The 3rd stitch in that one, slip. So we've now got 6 stitches in each section. Now we're going to bring that up to 8 stitches. We're going to repeat this. We're going to put chain 3, 1, 2, 3, that acts as your first stitch. Into the same stitch, we're going to put another one. Then we're going to put 1 into each of the next stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 into each of these 4 stitches and 2 into the last one. And that'll bring us up to 8 stitches in each section. So 1 into the next one. 1 into the next one. 1, 1, and then 2 into that last one of the section. 1 and 2. So we now have 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 2 into the first stitch, then 1, 2, 3, 4 single, and then 2 into your last one. We're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and repeat the process in each section. So 2 into the first stitch, 1 and 2 into the same stitch, then 1 into each of the next 4 stitches, 1 and 1, 1 into the next one, and we've got 1 into that one, and then into the last stitch we're going to put 2, 1 and 2. We're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and move to the next section, and you're going to do that all the way around. Now we're not going to do any more increases. We're going to do this round just a little bit different. We're going to start doing our lace. We're going to start doing the spaces for our lace. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to put 1 stitch into each one. We're not doing any increases, so that counts as your first one. So 1 into the next one. We'll still have 8 stitches, 1 into each stitch. And we're going to do this little section here slightly different. We're going to start making the spaces for our lace. So 1 into this last stitch. We've still got 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now you're going to chain 3 now. 1, 2, 3. From now on we'll be chaining 3. Now into the space, do a UK double crochet. That's a single crochet if you're in the USA. So do a single crochet. That's a double if you're in the UK. Into there, a little stitch. Chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And do 1 stitch into each one across. This is a UK treble crochet. That's a USA double crochet. 1 into each stitch. And we'll still have 8 stitches. And that's you started the first spaces for your lace. The lace part of this hexagon. 1 into each stitch along. So if you're following along, just pause the video till you catch up. And you can work along with the video. So we've got our 8 stitches. Remember, don't count that as a stitch. That is our little bridge for our lace. Now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and do a double crochet or single crochet down into there. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and do 8 stitches along, 1 into each stitch, and you'll do that all the way around your hexagon. So I'm on my last stitch. I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, down into the chain space, and 1, 2, 3. I'm going to slip stitch into that chain of 3, and that gives us our last 2 spaces. So what we're going to do, we're going to change my yarn. If you're doing a multicoloured one, pull your yarn through that stitch and we'll sew in our ends, and this is what we have: 8 stitches and 2 spaces, 8 stitches and 2 spaces, 8 and 2 spaces all the way around. Do my white. I'm going to join in on the second stitch. Skip that one and go in through the top of the second stitch. We're going to reduce from 8 stitches to 6 stitches. And we're going to do some more of the lace as well. We're going to work more spaces around to build up the lace. So just pull that through. I'm going to wrap my tail around, and I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now you can take your tail end in and sew it in as you go along. I'm going to move that out of the way just now. So that's one. So we've skipped this first stitch and we've got 1 here, 1 into the next one. We're going to do 6, 1 into the next one. That's 3, 1 into the next one. That's 4, 1 to make 5, and 1 into the next one to make 6. I'm going to cut my little tail end off. Now we're going to skip that last stitch. We're going to chain 3 and go in here. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and this is what we've done. We've skipped the first stitch and we've skipped the last stitch, and we've got 6 in here. So a UK double crochet into the chain space, that's a single crochet if you're in the USA. Chain another 3, 1, 2, 3, and go down into this space. And then chain 3, 1, 2, 3. That's going to let us skip that first stitch and go into this one and work 6 along. So skip that stitch and go into the next stitch. That's 1. 1 into the next one's 2, 3, into the next one, 4, into the next one, 5, and into the next one, 6. So we're working 6 stitches. We skipped that one and we're skipping that one. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and down into the chain space. Now the stitch we're using is a UK double crochet down into here, or a single crochet if you're in another country. chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, and into the next chain space. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip the first stitch and work 6 along. And the stitches we're using is a UK treble crochet. That is a USA double crochet. It's the same stitch, we just call it something different. So skip the first stitch and go into the next one and work 6 along. That one's number 3, along number 4, along number 5 and number 6. And this is what we have. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, into the chain space. 1, 2, 3 chains into the next chain space. Then chain 3 again, 1, 2, 3. Now you're going to skip the first stitch and work 6 along. So skip the first one. 1, 2, 3. Going to work 6. 3, 4, 5 and 6. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3 into the chain space. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3 into the chain space, and chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Skip the first stitch and work 6 along. So skip the first one, go into the next one and work 6. Work along. 3, 4, 5 and 6. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3 into the chain space, because we've skipped that last stitch. 1, 2, 3 chains into the chain space, and then chain 3 again. 1, 2, 3, and we're creating our lace in between these sections. Skip that stitch and work 6 along. We've nearly finished this round. So we've done our 6, skip the last one, chain 3, 1, 2, 3 into the chain space, chain 1, 2, 3 into the chain space, chain 1, 2, 3, and we're going to slip stitch to the top of that chain where we started. And this is what we have. We've now got 3 spaces and 6 stitches. So the next round, that's round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're on round 7. We're going to slip into the next stitch along. Slip into the next stitch, because we're skipping that one. So slip into the one next to it, and we're going to chain 3. 1, 2 and 3. Now we're going to work, we'll skip that one, that counts as your first stitch, and we're going to do 3 more. We're only going to have 4 stitches now. We're going to skip the end one, so that counts as your first one. We've slipped into the second stitch and chained 3. So into the next stitch, work 1, into the next stitch, work 1, and into the next stitch, work 1. So we've now got 4. That chain counts as 1, 2, 3 and 4. So we're going to do a chain 3s again, and we're going into each of these spaces. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and into the chain space. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and into the chain space. 1, 2, 3, into the chain space, and chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to skip the first stitch, work 4 along, and skip the last stitch. Skip that stitch, skip it over, and in to there. We're going to work 4 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we've now just done 4. Skip that one, work 4, and skip that one. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, into the chain space. 1, 2, 3, into the next chain space. 1, 2, 3, into the next chain space, and chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Skip the first stitch and work 4 along. Skip that one and go into the next one. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now skip that last stitch. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, into the chain space. We're going to do this all the way around. And chain 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go in to the top of that chain of 3 here and join the round. Join the round in. So I'm going to slip stitch across to the middle of these 4 stitches. So slip through the top of that stitch, and I'm going to slip into the space. You can go in the stitch, but it's a little bit more symmetrical if you go into the space. Now you're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That counts as 1 stitch and a chain. Now into here we're going to do 1 more stitch. A treble crochet if you're in the UK, and it's a double crochet if you're in the USA. It's the same stitch. Yarn over and in to there. So that works out as your first V-stitch. Chain 3. We're going to do a chain 3s and work across to the middle of this section. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3, into the chain space, chain 1, 2, 3, work your way along, chain 3, into the next space, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, into that chain space. Now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and go in to the middle of these 4 stitches. 1 treble crochet, 1 chain, and 1 treble crochet into that same space. And these are double crochets if you're in the USA. And you've got your last round of lace and stitches. So it's chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and work along into the chain space. That's a double crochet if you're in the UK, a single crochet if you're in the USA. As you can see, it is the same stitches. We just call it something different. 1, 2, 3, into the space. 1, 2, 3, into the space. 1, 2, 3, into your chain space, and 1, 2, 3, and do the V-stitch in the middle of these 4 stitches. 1 stitch, 1 chain, and 1 stitch. Chain 3 and work along. Now I'm almost back at the beginning. I'm going to do my last chain 3 and I'm going to slip stitch into the 3rd stitch in that chain of 4 that we started with. 1, 2, 3. Slip stitch in there, and we can take our yarn off, pull it through, I'm going to sew in my end, and then I'll show you how to do the half. How I worked out how to do the half of this. Just stitch in my end. Just hide it down in here somewhere. Cut my end. And that is your first one done. Now you can block these if you want, you don't have to, but I'm going to, because I want that lace to stand out in mine when I join them all together. And you'll join them at all these points along here when you join them. If you can do join as you go, and you can do that as well if you want. So I'm going to show you how to do the half size. Now I'll show you how to do the half size, because you need the half size when you join these all in to get a straight edge across the top. Now you will have a zigzag edge like this picture. Now that was the pattern I got when I laid them all out on the floor. Now I know that one looks kind of odd. That should be out like that. It'll all come good once we've done it. So I'll show you how to do the half size. So by no means is it it is an old pattern. It's an old pattern and been around for a long time. Wait, I find the end of my yarn. There we are. We don't need, oops, we're not going to need a lot of yarn to do this. We only need about this amount. We don't need a lot at all. I'm going to do a magic ring again. If you can't do a magic ring, then chain 3 or 4 and just join them, slip stitch them into a little circle. So a magic ring, put your end down like this, just wrap it around and cross it over. Put your hook under and pull it through. Take your working part of your yarn and do 1 stitch. You're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 1 stitch and 1 chain. Now we need 6 in it this time, so that counts as 1. So do 1 more and chain 1. That's 2. Another 1 plus chain 1. That's 3. 4, chain 1, 5, chain 1 and 6. Now we don't need to chain 1 on the 6th one. Cut my yarn, so you don't need a lot of yarn to do the centre part of this. So I'm going to pull my magic circle in tight, pull my yarn through the one I've just cut off through that stitch, and I'm going to sew in my ends. So I've got my half circle made with 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. I'm going to go in to the corner of this one, and we're going to pull through. I'm going to pull through the yarn, wrap the tail around a couple of times just to help hold it in, and I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now into the same stitch I'm going to put one more. Then I'm going to chain 2, and into the next 2 stitches we're going to put 2 into that one and 2 into that one. So 1 and 2. I'm going to put 2 into the next one. 1 and 2. So we've got a set of 4. Got a set of 2, a set of 4. Chain 2, 1 and 2. We're going to put 2 into the next stitch and 2 into the next stitch. So we're going to put 2 into the top of this next stitch. 1 and 2 and 2 into the next stitch. 1 and 2. We're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and we're going to put 2 into this last stitch. 1 and 2. I'm going to chain 2, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. So into the next stitch I'm going to put 2 stitches. We're going to do an increase. 1 and 2. Now remember, this is just a half a section, and the same at this end, and we've got 2 full sections here. So chain 2, 1, 2, and into the top of this one we're going to put 2 stitches. We're going to increase from 4 to 6 stitches. Then into these we're going to put 1 in here and 1 in here. 1 into that stitch and 1 into the next stitch. Then we're going to put 2 into that last stitch of that section. 1 and 2. So that gives us 6 stitches. So we've now got 6 stitches in here. We're going to chain 2, 1, 2. Now into the first stitch we're going to put 2 of the next section, 1 and 2. Then 1 into the next stitch, 1 into the next stitch, and 2 into the next one. Going to chain 2. We're going to put 2 stitches. We've got this group of 2. We're going to put 2 into the first stitch. We're going to increase this to 3. So 2 into the first stitch, 1 and 2, and then into the top of that last stitch we're just going to put 1 into there. Oops, we didn't do our yarn over. Into the top of that last stitch, put 1. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn. So into the next stitch we're going to put 1, and we're doing an increase again. We're going to put 2 into this last stitch, and it'll bring this section up to 4 stitches. So this half section has now got 1, 2, 3, 4. Chain 2. We're going to put 2 in the first stitch. We're going to take these 6 stitches up to 8. 2 in the first stitch and 2 in the last stitch, and 1 into each of the 4 in between. So put 2 into your first stitch, 1 and 2, 1 into each stitch across. That'll be 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then we're going to put 2 into this last stitch. 1 and 2. So we now have 8 on this section. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Chain 2 and do the same again to this section. 2 in the first one, 1 and 2, and 1 into the next 4 stitches. 1 into that one, 1 into that one, 1 into that one, and 1 in there. And we're going to put 2 into this last stitch, and that'll bring this one up to 8. 1 and 2. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Chain 2. We're going to put 2 into this first stitch. I'm going to bring this from 3 up to 4 stitches. So 1 and 2, and 1 into each of these that are left, and that'll put this section with 4. This is just a half a section. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Now we're only going to put 1 into each stitch. We're keeping the number we have. We're going to put 1 into each stitch. One into each stitch. Now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and in to the chain space with a UK double crochet. This is a single crochet if you're in the USA. It's the same stitch, it's just the UK has a different name for it. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and put 1 into each stitch along, no increasing. 1 into each stitch. So we've got 8 stitches along. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and in to the double into the chain space. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1 into the 8 stitches along this section. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and one more is 8. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and in to the space. We're building little spaces to make the lace part of the pattern. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do 1 into each stitch across here, and we should have 4. 1, 2, 1 into the next one is 3, and 1 into the top of that chain is 4. Now we're going to change our yarn to the white, so we'll cut that off. I'll sew my tail ends in once we're finished, and this is what we have. So I've got my white, and I'm going to attach it to this stitch here on the end through the stitch. Now you can leave all your tail ends to the end, or you can sew them in as you go along. So we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now I've got this one here. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to do these white sections, and we're going to reduce the stitches, but we're going to increase the little lace spaces. So that chain of 3 counts as your first stitch. We're going to go in to the next stitch, and these are treble crochets in the UK, and if you're in the USA, these are double crochets for you. Now 1 into the next stitch, so we're going to reduce these 4 stitches down to 3, and we just do this by skipping the last stitch. So we've got 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. We're going to skip that last stitch and go in to the chain space. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and go into the next chain space. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to reduce these 8 stitches to 6 simply by skipping that first stitch. So skip the first stitch and work 6 across. So that's 1, 1 into the next one is 2, 1 into the next one is 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we're going to skip that last stitch. So 1, 2, 3, chain 3, and work in to the chain space. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and into the chain space. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Skip the first stitch and go into the next stitch. So skip that one and go into that one and work 6 across. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and go into the chain space. So we'll skip that last stitch there. 1, 2, 3, into the chain space. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to skip that stitch and work along 3 stitches. 1, 2, and into the top of this one. 3. Go to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. So we're going to do another row of reducing. So we're only going to go into the next stitch. So we've got 2 left on here. We're going to skip that stitch. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Go into the chain space. 1, 2, 3. Into the next chain space. 1, 2, 3. Into the next chain space. 1, 2, 3. We're going to skip the first one and we're going to work just 4 stitches along. So skip that one and work 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3 and 4. We're going to skip that one. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3, into the chain space. Work along with your chains and into the spaces, making this really lacy pattern. One, 2, 3, into the chain space. Then chain 1, 2, 3. Skip the first stitch and work 4 along. 1, 2, 3 and 4. So skip that one. 1, 2, 3 and 4. So we've been building, making our chain spaces and making that point. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, miss the last stitch and go into the chain space. Do your chains of 3 and into the spaces, into that space. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to skip the first stitch and work these last 2 stitches. That's 1 and 2. Now this is the last row we're going to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to chain 4 and that counts as 1 stitch and 1 chain. So we're going to put another one right into here and make a V stitch. So that's your first V stitch. Now we're going to do our chains all the way along and we're going to go into the middle of these 4 stitches and do a V stitch. So we're just doing our chains of 3, 1, 2, 3 and going into the chain spaces. 1, 2, 3, into the space. 1, 2, 3, into the space. 1, 2, 3. We're nearly finished this half hexagon. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to go in between the 2 stitches. Put 1 treble crochet, chain 1 and 1 treble crochet. Now we're going to do our chains of 3 and work our way along to the middle of these 4 stitches. So chain 1, 2, 3, into the chain space. 1, 2, 3. This is our last round. Chain 1, 2, 3. Chain 1, 2, 3. Into there. And chain 1, 2 and 3. We're going to go in between these 4 stitches. 1 stitch, 1 chain and 1 stitch. These make the corners. These V stitches make the corners of your hexagon. So we're going to do our 3 chains and work our way along. 1, 2, 3, nearly finished. 1, 2, 3, into the next one. 1, 2, 3, into the next one. 1, 2, 3, into that one, and we're going to chain 1, 2, 3, and into the last stitch, the top of the last stitch, we're going to do a V-stitch. So that's 1 stitch, 1 chain, and 1 stitch. We're going to cut our yarn, pull it through, pull through, and that is your hexagon, your half hexagon done. You just need to sew in your ends. So that is your half one finished. So this is the half hexagon, and this is them after I've blocked them. Now, blocking them stretches them out. As you can see, it stretched it out a little bit bigger than what it was. And these are my hexagons. Now, I'll show you, this video is quite long, so I'll show you in the next one how to join them. These V-stitches here in the corners, I'm going to crochet them together and join all these little sections. I'm going to join 4 hexagons together across here. I'm going to put 1 on the bottom because I'll need 4 of these. I'll show you this picture again. So what you can see from the picture is I've got 4 large hexagons and a half one on the bottom. Once I've sewed them into lines or crocheted them into lines, I'm going to crochet them down each section. The 2 lines I'm going to crochet it together. So this one will sit in here, and this is what the half is for. So this half will go in there, and it's going to keep my top straight and the bottom straight. Now I will put another 2 full ones in here. I'm going to show you my block. Now look what happened to my blocking board. It split. This blocking board, you can see exactly where it split. If you've got one of these, the thing to do with them is before you use them, before you put any damp, luckily I got these done before it split. When you make these damp, it goes in to the board, and I think that's what's made it split. Just it's a bad joint as well. I emailed the company I got this from, and they're going to replace it for me because this is split down here. Now what the way that you can help to prevent that is if you take your whole blocking board and put it into water, leave it for a minute or 2 and then take it back out and then dry it off with a tea towel. This one's still damp from where I had all my ones in. Now with this one I got big pins and little pins, and I pinned mine in like this, and I just matched it up. And that's what you do when you block your board. You're stretching it out like this. Just find the best place that keeps it sort of straight. So, and then this one, And then I put some pins in between just to open this up like that. And you can put lots on the top of these. And then I set it aside to dry. But when my board split, now I would need a clamp, put some glue in and clamp it closed to keep it. But I'm not going to bother because I think I can take that out. That's already been done. I think what will happen is it will just continue to split down that joint. And it's even got a bevel in it, like this. But I have told them, and they're going to send me another one. They're going to replace it. I got it on Amazon. And the good thing about Amazon is, even if anything like that happens up to a year, you can contact the person you got it from and then tell them what's happened to it, and they should replace it for you. So I'm getting a new one of these. And they told me not to bother returning that one. So I'm going to show you in another video how to join these together. That pattern's going to continue in the centre where it's been joined as well. It's going to have it all lining up really, really pretty. And that is how I've done this half. And like I said already, I did the half because I just did that. And then I worked out how many stitches I had. And it worked out fine. It worked out fine. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Please just click on that subscribe button. And if you click on the bell icon, YouTube will tell you when I put up another tutorial. So until the next time, happy crafting, and I'll see you all again soon. Goodbye.